Welcome back. You were putting down some serious knowledge, Anthony.
Hey, you know
I
what
like
I'm gonna
what
do?
you're doing.
You know, I'm gonna take these books and I'm gonna take them to a real cookbook place, and I'm gonna put them right in there. So when the ladies go and look for real cookbooks, they go, "Wait a minute, what is this?"
This is
That's what we should do.
something
Well,
different.
actually, I'm working on a journal, and it is recipes, which are the recipes are actually actions that you can do by yourself or with your loved one to help develop relationships.
Yes. Speaking of recipes too, it's another thing that we talk about too, Dolores. We always talk about, you know, knowing your requirements.
Exactly.
We use the cake example because we're like, well, if you bake a cake, you have to have all the ingredients.
Yes.
And if you take the flour away, can you bake a cake?
Right.
Right? So you basically need all the ingredients, and which are your requirements. So there's, if you take a cake away, that's, you know, taking away a non-negotiable requirement.
You have to
so
have
you
it.
can't take the flour away. It's non-negotiable,
Yeah.
right? You got to have that flour in order to make the cake.
Yes,
you know?
sir.
Yeah.
I actually mentioned that in the book. And it's crazy because our idea of projection, when you give up an immovable or a non-negotiable, I call them immovables, my wife calls them non-negotiables, and it's
Okay.
funny
Yeah.
because we sat down, she's like, all right, what are your non-negotiables? I mean, my immovables, she was like, oh, that's what you call them.
Right.
So we sat down.
Cool. Yeah.
So like one of my immovables is faith in God.
Okay.
That is a requirement for any woman I'm involved in.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
So what happens is, say that I sacrifice that immovable because I met this great woman.
Yes.
What happens is, pretty soon there will be a conflict based on my dedication, involvement in God,
Excellent.
and the way he's involved in my life and
Absolutely.
with her. And then I would either find myself overbearing her with him or compromising. And if I compromise it, I would, years down the line, I'm like, she won't let me be me. I just want to worship God, and she won't let me do
Right.
this, and she's impeding this. And really, it's not that she won't let me. It's just that it was an immovable in my life, and I sacrificed it anyway
Exactly.
to be with her.
That's right.
So when you have your immovables, you can't do it. Now, the thing about it, you can't throw everything on immovable, non-negotiable tables. My wife says, once you get more than 5 things, you're attempting to control people.
That's what I was about to say.
Right,
you know, when you
right,
start
yeah.
going there, I think it's a
Yeah.
form of control, and then
Yeah.
you try to change them. Okay, so
Yeah.
you want to worship God, I don't. I'm gonna hook up with you anyway because I think I can get you to
Yeah.
stop. You know, so
Right.
yeah, you
Right. Exactly. You got it. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
got to be a limit.
It's gotta be a limit.
Well, the limit has to be set by your life. So in
That's
the book,
right.
I talk about immovables have to be, for instance, how do you know you're in the kitchen? You got a refrigerator, you got a stove, you got places to cook, places to store. If you take those things out, it becomes just another room in the house.
Right.
So your immovables are the things in your life that if you took them away, you would be someone other than who you are. And once you get outside of that, you're not dealing with immovables, you're dealing with personal preferences. And those you have to negotiate. So my God is an immovable for me. Fidelity is an immovable for me. Because fidelity and loyalty is a big part of who I am.
it goes hand in hand
Yeah.
for some people.
My wife is extremely caring, so you know, hers was God. You know,
Yes, yes.
prayer. We have to pray together. And one, her like motorcycle. She was like, "I'm too loving and compassionate and into who I'm with, and I know the danger." And me myself, I could not watch you on the motorcycle and not worry and not call you and see you.
Right,
So
right,
for me to
exactly.
be in a position to date a man riding a motorcycle, it will cause me to either cut off a part of me that exists that I want to keep, or it would cause me to just be overbearing on you. So one of my non-negotiables is I can never own a motorcycle.
Yes.
Or ride one.
Oh,
And
why did you say that?
Because
I was trying to get my wife. We wanted to get a motorcycle.
but see,
now you've confirmed it. Now,
But no,
She
but
don't
no,
get
but
a
see, the thing
motorcycle.
about it, I've confirmed
Yeah.
it for my wife, not
Yes.
yours.
Yeah.
That's an and my
Yeah.
it was so important with my wife that in the mentioning of God, trust, and also that she said I wanted to be able to raise a family
Yeah.
at home. I wanted to work if I wanted to,
Yes.
but I wanted to be able to stay home and nurture because the family is the core and the key.
That's
so
right.
these are things that we put together, and like I said, if taken away,
Yeah.
would change who I'm married
That's
to.
right.
So based on the fact that is that part that intricate inside of her,
Yes.
I accepted that.
Yes.
But we only have like 4 immovables. After that, we have things that are real important to us, but always negotiable.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, is this your
Yeah.
beautiful wife on the cover?
Yes.
Oh,
My
okay.
beautiful wife is actually my editor. And believe me,
Yeah.
it's
Wow.
the only time I met her because when I moved to New York, I wanted a black publisher.
Yeah.
And at 19, she had the biggest small press in New York.
Yeah.
She was
Really?
publishing and stuff. She's
Yeah.
teaching now, but
Go,
we
sister.
never published each other. We hated each other. We respected each other, but we did not like each other. And for like 4 years, we were like good friends who just we hung out together, respected each other's integrity,
Yeah.
work ethic, all that. But we, as personally, we couldn't stand each other.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we lost touch, met back at an event, and I went home and took my godbrother and said, I think I just hugged my wife. He said, well, who is this? You never mentioned. I said, well, up until today, I never considered her as a candidate.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I got to pray on it because I don't want to marry her.
Yeah.
You know, but I can't tell God you're wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I
Right.
got to make sure it's not me making up things.
That's right.
So I prayed over the month, and one
Yeah.
day, Lord said, listen, today you have to tell her that she's going to be your wife. And I said, man, I ain't doing it. I'm talking to myself. He said, no, you going to tell her today.
Yeah.
So I walked up to her, and she got mad. I had to give her a new proposal, but this is the way I proposed to her.
Yeah.
I walked up to her and said, listen, it's be revealed that you're going to be my wife.
Yeah.
She said, but I don't love you. I said, I don't love you either. She said, but I don't like you. I said, I don't like you either. She was like, okay. And then we walked away. A month later, we have a private ceremony with just us. We dedicated our lives to God. And then a year later, we got married.
Oh, that's
Never dated,
Wow.
never anything. But we both had an understanding of a higher calling and ministry in our lives.
Yeah.
awesome.
And we were both preparing ourselves for relationships. And later we found out that she went through a purification process of cutting off all the men in her life, fasting and praying, detoxing.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing,
Yeah.
making room, which is another thing in the book. We talk about making room for relationships in your lives. And it's a natural thing. If you empty a cup, it's going to fill with air or whatever, but it's going to fill with something.
Okay.
So when you empty your life and make room, it's going to fill with something. Most of the time we have bad discernment and discretion, so it fills
Right.
with negative stuff. But if you decide to push everything out
Come on
and
now.
wait for that thing, it'll fill with what you need.
Now you
But
said
it
you're a
has-
teacher too, right?
Yeah, I was actually an adjunct professor at NYU in continuing education, but I'm a curriculum specialist. I use art, like poetry.
So you use some of these things too as well.
Yeah, I use in my workshops. It's everything, and when me and my wife do it together, it's crazy because she's as silly as I am. So we get together and we have fun, and it's some of the stuff I've come up with, but she likes it more than I do. So we'll be doing something. She's like, "Oh no, I got this," and she'll be going, and we
Wow,
have a great time.
so you guys together find strength, courage, and wisdom and comfort in each other.
Oh, yeah,
and
we-
you didn't even know that it was there
Oh
until
yeah,
you consulted
and we
with
remind
God.
each other every day with our rings. See, what happens is a lot of people get things that are fashionable, but these Enigma symbols were picked out specifically as the principles of our relationship. And so when we look at them, like say that we're going through a hard time.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the Gia Aya, and it represents perseverance and determination.
Okay.
So when we're going through a hard time, I put it like this. And when I say hard time, we don't have hard times like other people. We understand our goals. So breaking up and going through problems is not an issue. It's just working through it.
Working through
And
it.
understanding
Good
and
for
start that
you.
goal.
Exactly.
So when we got to work through push through something, I
Yeah.
put this on and I look
Yeah.
at it. I'm like, all right, we're going to persevere.
And that's
we're
a
gonna
good
push.
thing. That's what we were talking about earlier too, when we're talking about creating traditions, and that's a tradition that you guys created with the.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh,
That's good.
we our marriage. We had a very untraditional marriage. Nobody was a parishioner. Everybody who came to the wedding was involved, and we were not.
Wow.
And we were not allowed to invite anybody to the wedding who we did not expect to be our rock and foundation and help us. So we didn't have that part where if anybody has a reason that they shouldn't be together, we're like, if that's the case, you shouldn't be
Shouldn't
here.
be here. Come on
Right,
now.
right.
Ooh,
So
I like it.
everybody was invited based on that. So we created our
Wow.
own tradition for that. Everything we
Yeah.
created.
Wow.
Strength,
well,
courage,
can
wisdom,
anybody
love.
get in touch with you and
Yeah, you can go to relationshipcookbook.com and you can buy the book there. It's available at every major bookseller in America and Europe. So if it's not in the store, you can order it. www.relationshipcookbook.com. You can reach me at Anthony@relationshipcookbook.com is the email. And the phone number is 718-598-7491. That's the business number. Call me. I do workshop, relationships. Whatever you need, we got.
We'll give you a chance to do that one more time.
wow.
Yes.
Inside my